Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be teaching you how to go about this zigzag effect on this dress, and also I'll be explaining the neckline of this dress. So without wasting much time, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get started. So welcome back. So after drafting your bustier, which I have a video on that, I'll be linking it up here, you go ahead to draw the neckline. For this neckline at this area I'm using 3 inches. Then you go down by your desired length. So for this I'm using 5.5. Yeah, I changed it to 6. I'm using 6 inches depth. Then I'll be measuring 4 here. So if your client wants it to be wider, you can use 4.5, 5 depending, but just note that the upper part must be lower than the lower part so that you can have a slant shape. I don't know if you get. So like now the upper part here is 3 and the lower part here is 4, so you can have a slant shape. Then you go ahead to cut. So after cutting, this is what it will look like. Then you go ahead to cut your lining too, the same thing as the lining. Then you add facing to both the lining and the fabric so that everything can stand. So you add facing at the edges of the neckline for the lining, and for your fabric you had your normal facing. So this is the back and this is what it looks like. So after sewing, this is what the neckline looks like, and as you can see the facing here. So you had facing so that after ironing it can come out very nice. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see it came out well. So now let's go to the skirt part. So for this skirt part, you go ahead to cut your plain and your Ankara fabric. So your plain fabric will be the desired length of your client. So if your client wants it to be a 3/4 gown or a short gown, so that plain material will be the actual length. So this is it, and the difference between this is 8 after hemming, because I'll be hemming with 2 inches, so the difference will be 8 inches. So this is the Ankara, and the Ankara is shorter than the desired length by 8 inches. So now at one side, depending on where you want the longer side to be and the shorter side, you measure your hip length at this area, you mark it. Then from that point you connect it downward. I hope you understand how we cut this Ankara. It is shorter than the actual length by 8 inches. So at this part you take out your sewing allowance 1.5, and you do the same thing too for this part. Then you start dividing the line 3 inches. You start dividing 3 inches until you get to the end. You start dividing 3 inches. So after you are done, so this side you divide the 3 inches into 2 again. That will be 1.5, and the length of the line you are drawing should be around 1 inches. Don't make it to be more than 1 inches. So you start dividing the 3 again. That's 1.5. So every distance between each line will be 1.5, like that. So you start connecting in this manner. I hope you understand what I'm doing. You start connecting like this until you get to the end. In case you don't understand any part of this video, please go ahead and watch it again, or you can just drop a comment so that I can explain better. After you are done with the marking, you go ahead to cut, and you be careful. Please be careful with the cutting so that you don't make any mistake. After you are done with the cutting, you go ahead to turn. So stay tuned so that I can show you how to go ahead with the turning. But for now, let's go ahead and cut the back. So the length is also the same as the one we measured for the back, but the only difference is that the back we have an opening, that is the zipper allowance and the slit allowance. Now you have to be careful with the positioning of the short and the long side of this. So you make sure you are aligning both the front and the back together so that you don't end up having one side longer and for the back it is shorter. After measuring your hip length, so whatsoever you have from the hip length down, you measure is, then you divide it by 2. So whatsoever you have at this area, you measure and you divide it by 2. So at this zipper area too, you measure your hip length too at this area. Then your measurement divided by 2, you measure half of it at this area. As you can see, this is what I have. So the next thing is to measure everything together like this. Then you transfer it to this area. Then after that, you take out your zipper allowance, which is 1.5 for me. That's why I'm taking 1.5. you know, when you join, so that it can be equal, like back to it. So from that point now, you just connect it downward to this edge. Like from this point, you connect it downward to this edge, and from this point too, you connect it to this hip length that we measure. So you take away 1.5, 2, that's the sewing allowance. Then you connect like this. I hope you understand. The reason why I'm doing this is that so that when we join it back, we can have a straight line. I don't know if you get, so we can have it straight. That is why I did this. So now the next thing we'll be doing is the same thing as we did for the front. You start dividing the line by 3. Then after dividing by 3, you also divide the 3 into 2, that's 1.5. You do the same thing too for the right side and the left side. After marking the 3 inches, when you want to divide your 3 inches into 2, you mark it downward, not upward. So when you are done, you go ahead to cut, and this is what it will look like. So for us to turn this zigzag end, you just cut out a straight fabric, which should be around 4 inches or 3 inches, depending on how much fabric you have. Then you go ahead to sew with a 1/4 inch. Just go ahead to sew with a 1/4 inch. Then you turn everything, both the front and the back, you turn it with that piece of fabric. So after we are done, this is what it looks like. Then you go ahead to trim the zigzag edges out. You trim it out. Then after you are done trimming, you notch this midpoint. Please be careful so you don't cut your fabric. So you trim it out, and after trimming, this is what it will look like. So this is what it looks like even before ironing. As you can see, it came out. So if you want your zigzag to be wider, you can use 4 inches, but for me I use 3 inches. So this is it after ironing. Then you go ahead to place it on your plain fabric, which is your actual skirt pattern, skirt bodies. Then you go ahead to do the dart and fixing of it to the main bodies. So this is just the zigzag edge that I'm explaining. So you go ahead to do your dart at this area. You sew the ankara and the plain together, then the lining will be separate depending on how you want it, but just make sure you fix your ankara and the plain together. After I was done with my own joining and sewing, this is what I have. This is the front, this is the neckline, that's the back neckline too, as you can see over there. So this is the back bodies. As you can see, this part that it just went continuously. There is no difference at the zipper area. So this is what it looks like. If this video was helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and let me know in the comment section if this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.